I'm going to talk about Marseille here for a bit today. And what this is about was I wrote an article called My Universe of Two Cents this week. And these cards came up. I'm not going to tell you the reading because that's part of my member content, but the cards were interesting, so I want to share it with you. And when you're looking at Marseille, you have to really pay close attention to the body positions. So when you look at here, what do you see? Well, people could say something like, well, you have the Queen of Swords, and she's all about, making quick decisions. You have the Knight of Swords, ready to go into battle, and you have the Three of Cups, harmony, peace, blah, 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 right? That's kind of your Rider-Waite vibe on it. And just to kind of contrast and compare, let me pull the Rider-Waite cards so you can see them and how they look and how you kind of read them differently, all right? So give me a second to pull these cards up. Okay, and there are the cards you can contrast and compare. And did I say page? I meant to say the Knight of Swords. I'm not too sure of what I said a minute ago, but I had a couple thoughts in my head about another reading I was doing. Anyway, so when you look at this here, when you look at the Rider-Waite, it has a different vibe entirely. You can see how these two cards are kind of competing. The Knight's going into the past, and the Queen's looking into the future, saying, "Hey, knock it off." He says, "Hell no, I'm going to change the past." She's like, "No, I'm going to block you." Or you read it with positions like theme, blockers, and then outcomes, happiness, and so forth. But when you look at the Marseille, it's more different because you have the center card, which is your attention. At least that's how I read it. I read it in a line, okay? And with the center card here, it's really saying to me that I'm going to move forward to find new opportunities to bring in happiness, to bring in prosperity, to bring in growth, right? Because 3 is around growth. And you can see how this card has that feel to it. I'll go into more in a second. But then you have the Queen looking away. And so when you look at the Marseille, it's like, well, the Queen wants to really use her past knowledge to move forward. And she's not looking at the future yet. She's still kind of focused on the past. But here she's looking in the future, putting a hand out to you saying, hey, here's my sword. I'm truth. I'm just. I'm swift. And I will help decide. Where she's more like, I'm going to wait a little bit, analyze my options, and then move forward. And then even the Knight is very active energy, right? You can see the Knight. And he wants to go forward. But here the horse is looking back at the Queen with this layout. And so it's like the horse isn't really sure to follow what the Knight wants to do. So he has to really dig his heels in to get the horse to go forward. But yet the Queen is saying, well, no, let's first look at the way we got here. Let's use my wisdom to bring us forward to make sure we make a good decision. Because it's all about the mind here, right? And yet this Knight is saying, no, I'm going to ignore you. I'm moving forward. But the horse is saying no. So his feet are basically kind of being held a little bit into the ground. Even though the front leg is out of the frame, he's still holding back, looking at the Queen to kind of say, well, I think we need to listen to her. All right. But when you look at the Rider-Waite, what do you see? It's a totally different vibe because this would be your theme. You're not reading in the line. You're saying, well, the theme is around the Queen decision-making power. It's about her saying, yes, now it's time to move forward with clarity, sharpness, and speed, in a sense. And then what could block you from that is the Knight wants to go to the past because he's still going to the left. He wants to go to the past and charge because he's not really looking into the future because he's a little bit erratic. He's looking more into the past in order to know how to drive forward. And that's what could be blocking energy. But here the Knight is saying, no, I'm ready to go forward. I want to get to the Three of Cups. Now here's where it gets really interesting. So when you look at the Three of Cups, right, what do you see? You see 3 people here celebrating. So the outcome is that if you can use the Queen's energy, don't get caught up in the Knight's erratic behavior, then you're going to have a lot of good tidings ahead, right? A lot of celebrations. 3, growth, communication, and so forth. So good talks, good growth, and so forth. But because here's a different vibe entirely because it's a cup, right? And so it's saying that my cup is full and I have 2 here. So I have to decide down here to make a decision so I can balance that option to have the growth that I want. You see the difference there? How it's completely different? This is people, so you can see that people are celebrating, so therefore you have the keyword celebration. Here you don't have that. You have a triangle. It's a complete cycle in a sense, right? 3. And each 3 is a possibility. But the 2 down here is what the 1 on top is being hinged upon. It's a decision to move forward. It's a decision to grab the opportunity so that you can grow. And now here's where the Marseille takes a nice shift away from the Rider-Waite, right? Now, people can read Freeform with Rider-Waite, but I wouldn't recommend it because the cards have such deep meaning to them because of the pips and the way they have illustration and people in them, right? So you're seeing feminine energy here, 3 females, red. You have a lot of fire. You have a lot of wisdom. You have a lot of growth in the earth to celebrate, to become one, to unite. Here you have yellow, where it's more like it's growth, warmth, a little bit of emotion, not too much. So it's more balanced. This is a lot of emotion. This is a lot less emotion. It's white. It's centered on truth. Now, a lot of people don't read color Marseille, but I do. So when you look at this, you're thinking to yourself, well, how can I move forward? So once I hit the celebration, then what? After I grow, then what? Right? Here you're done because that's the final outcome. You could pull a clarifier card, like maybe something like this. Well, you're going to grow by using your desires and your passions to go and seek new things. That's one way of looking at it because it's the Knight of Wands. So it's very fast moving action. It's fire, okay? But here you're saying, well, how do I move forward? Well, we're going to pull another card. You have the Eight of Pentacles. By really stabilizing your resources, stabilizing your finances and your ideas so you don't waste them, you then can move forward and you're going to decide with the structure on top of the bottom. You're going to decide that I have enough stability right now in order to take a gamble to move forward, horse, so that I can be very prosperous and have a lot of celebrations with my new ideas that are really emotional to me. They're really dear to me. And they really hit me hard on the heart because I'm choosing to now accept the new things that come, to have the growth and rely on my finances that I've saved over time, that I have collected to move forward. How? By the Four of Swords, by taking a little bit of a rest. You see how the flower is down? Now, I'm not going to read into that symbol here, but I'm reading into the symbol of the two swords. So you're seeing swords of decisions, but now the decisions have come together and the mind is now calmed, right? So when you read the Marseille, you can kind of read it in a line like you do Lenormand. And so when you think about the center card, that the growth, now you're going to merit out. The growth came because you didn't really get caught up in the Queen's past. Instead, you focused on the Knight's forward movement. Even though that everybody wanted to look to the past, you said, no, we're going to drive forward. How? By relaxing the mind. So to get that growth, you have to relax the mind. You have to embrace the new things ahead of you, the new ideas. Knight, right? A Knight of Swords, all about moving forward, fast, quick, mental clarity, mental fortitude, strength. You're just going to rush kind of like into the scene. But the horse is hesitant. So even though you're moving forward, you're going to kind of like tread a little bit lightly. You're going to wait. You're not going to just jump in with both feet being blind. He's just going in the battle. Doesn't think twice about it. He's saying, well, even his position, well, we're going to hold off a little bit because we don't want to make a mistake. We also don't want to rely on the past. We want to look forward to the future. And how? Because we know we have the resource in order to have a little bit of a gamble so we can grow. And so when you look at the two systems, you can see how they're just completely different. So even though I pull a clarifier, it doesn't really make sense to me when I put a card here to keep adding on with the Rider-Waite. It's just a different way of reading. So these are more reading based on what the images look like, but also off kind of what they have said that this deck represents, right? And so that's where I think people get confused and where the conflict comes into play. Now, you also can take this a step forward and look at the numbers as well, which I do all the time. And you see you have a queen and a knight. So I always say that the queen is a 3. If you heard me before, I explained how it goes 1 to 4, which is a 10. 1, 2, 3, 4 wraps to a 10. So a queen is a 3, king is a 4, which means a knight is a 2. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's a cycle you have to break in order to move forward and have that victory that you're looking for, that celebration of emotions. And then when you go up here into the Marseille, what do you have again? You have a 3, 4, 5, because the 2 is the knight, and a 3 is an 8, and an 8 is a 16, and a 16 plus a 4 is a 20, is a 2. It's all about making a decision. That's why I said it's all about having to decide to choose. You're ready to move forward with the potential because you have saved enough in order to calm the mind and know it's going to work out, and that you can trust the queen's past wisdom, but you don't let it get you stuck in the past so that you can head forward into the future with greater and better things. So that's kind of just a way you can read the Rider-Waite versus the Marseille. It's just really, it's a different system. It's just completely based on like the shape, where here is more based on the image. Anyway, that's all I got for this quick little tutorial run through, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want more, head over to wordswithtwist.com and click join and become a member. You'll have some really cool content that can help you grow in your practice. All right, see y'all. Till next time. Bye.